Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions. And, of course, we're in a brave new world, to say the least, and we hope that world doesn't last too long. But it has even affected the way that I approach my podcast, many of which, as you know, are interview-based, and interviewing people in person, face-to-face, is becoming more and more difficult, and even more importantly, by choice. Sometimes you want to be able to avoid the human contact or going into someone's home or being in a closed room. And so that's the way we're going to do our Arts and Lifestyles Wednesday, Danny and Tim's music scene, with Tim on the phone from his home and me in the offices, actually, of the sponsor of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, Cinematic Visions. So we'll be doing a lot of the podcast in this particular form, including Friday's Kansas City Profiles as well. There is no music going on in venues, but we're going to be talking to Tim about some of the ways that people can consume music, what effect it's going to have on the musicians, which is all going to be negative, basically, and on clubs and venues. And, for instance, I have tickets to a May 9th concert with the Mavericks at Knuckleheads, and that seems to be a show that might be in some peril, to say the least. That's only about 6 weeks away from now, and I sure as heck hope that that's not the case at that point in time, but I can imagine that it might be. Those are some of the things that we'll talk to with Tim Finn from In Kansas City Magazine. You hear him on Thursdays on 90.9 The Bridge as well. He does fine work, has done fine work for years. He does fine work here, and we always have a great time. And we always have some set things that we are thinking about talking about, and often we meander into other locations as well. And we'll start to do that coming up next on Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300.
My friends at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture are among the most accomplished and trusted clinics in the nation. Only one clinic has been rated in the top 5 in all 3 categories of chiropractic care, acupuncture, and rehabilitation, and that clinic is ASFCA. They have locations in Olathe, Overland Park, Prairie Village, Belton, and Lee Summit. Doctors Brad and Christina Woodle and their accomplished team of doctors and therapists will treat you like family, for the simplest of injuries to the most complicated conditions to avoid surgery. Whether you are seeking treatment for an injury or just looking to stay healthy and fit, this is the place for you. And it's been the place for me for almost 2 years now. I've been a strenuous daily exerciser for years, and as time goes on, that takes its toll. But regular appointments at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture have helped keep me ticking on, and even as the years pile up, their regular care has allowed me to keep to my regimen and feel great. If you want to feel the same, give them a call or visit them at asfca.com/Danny. They accept all insurances and are open Monday through Saturday, and make sure to mention that Danny Clinkscale recommended Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Are you thinking of starting a new business? Does your current business feel stuck? Or are you just trying to grow what you already have? Running a business is a lot of work, and it takes the right team to make it all happen. If you're looking to grow your business, call my friends Ben and Greg over at Fuego Consulting. They put together a company that can help you reach your business goals. Whether you're looking to get online, build a social media strategy, or rebrand your business, they can help. Call Fuego at 816-663-9695 or visit them online at fuegoconsulting.com. Fuego Consulting. Let's grow your business together.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back, and it's Danny and Tim's Music Scene. After I set the table with our introduction, and for the first time doing this, Tim and I are not in the same place, and I shed a little tear about that because I always enjoy our visits face-to-face, but it is what it is, and we're glad to have the services of Cinematic Visions and their offices and their setup because they're actually the sponsor of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday. Tim's on his phone, at home, secure on the first day of lockdown, as it were. What's funny, Tim, is that when they said they gave the stay home initiative, really most of the exceptions and everything else were the same, and it seemed like they were giving it a new name to create some more imperative with people, which I think was a good idea. But we can still go to the store, and you don't have to panic over things like that. But it certainly is a whole lot different.
Yeah, I think it's just an indication that people are taking this more seriously, and you should do everything you can to be isolated. And like, I'm at home, my stepson and I are keeping distance from each other. Like I was telling you out there, like my wife works at a hospital. She comes home and just immediately takes off her scrubs and goes to the shower. And so there's a lot of precaution taken, and because we have no idea. My daughter's going to come over to pick up some stuff that I bought for her today. I'm just going to leave it on the doorstep. We'll wave at each other through the window. It's pretty incredible that we are at that point, because I've never been, you and I, we've lived through a lot of stuff,
Yes.
A lot of crises, and there's never been anything like this that has shut down virtually everything. Everything that I care about, sports, music, starting with those two, but also social interaction with the people I love. I can't, I can't hang out with some really, really good friends, and even my daughter.
When in the circles you're running in or the people you're talking to in your social media interactions, I think most of the people that I'm, close friends with and, my spouse and everything else are very serious about this. But when I'm in the store or, just living life, I do hear a lot of people who aren't really happy with this situation and don't feel like it's absolutely necessary to the extent that it is. I obviously think it is, and probably even more so. But what is in your world? What are you hearing?
So if we're talking about people in the music world that I know, everyone is adamant about stay home, stay as isolated as you can, and only go out when it's absolutely imperative. Like, that's it. And there's no exceptions. There's a lot of backlash in the restaurant world about some places that are doing carry out and drive through, and others that are like, no, we have to cut this off. Like, 3 really hard weeks will make us get to the other side of this sooner. But just that interaction of making food and giving it to someone on the curbside or whatever is not going to help. So that's the only indication I've ever seen in the world that I live in where there's some friction and conflict. And but I wouldn't want to lecture anyone. I mean, musicians, it's a little different. Some of them can do stuff online and deliver live music online, and a lot of them are, and getting something out of it. But keeping a business alive and having to pay rent and having 18 employees, it's a world I'm not familiar with, so I'm not going to judge. But I guess my point is, the more extreme we get, the sooner this will be over.
When you wrote a great article in Kansas City Magazine about the effects of on the music industry, both nationwide, right here in Kansas City, and some great anecdotes from people in there about what they're trying to do to survive, or at least have some kind of connection with their music. And this musicians, and especially local musicians, are always kind of living on an edge anyway. And the first goal of any musician is to be able to make music their only thing that they have to do to survive. And that's a nice goal to reach, and many don't reach it. They have to do other things and so on and so forth. So it's always been kind of a razor's edge, and this makes it all that much more difficult.
Yeah, the margins are so thin. Even those who are making a really handsome living at it, they needed to do 12 gigs a week. I know some people who were doing that, 2 gigs a day, maybe one on Monday, one on Tuesday, and then whatever, 2 Thursday through Sunday, whatever. But yes, they've just been blindsided and hammered, and they have no other source of income. And to make it worse, frankly, most of them don't have health insurance because they're self-employed, which makes it scarier because they're thinking about all the people they've been around the last 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And this is a crisis for the restaurant industry in particular, but also for our music community, because there's no end in sight, and so many people are really, I'm not going to say they're freaking out, but they're getting there, because even those who are working other jobs, a lot of those jobs are done, bartending, right, server, whatever you did to pay the rent. So it's, yeah, I'm scared. Like, I don't think the music will ever die. I think we will. There's another side to this, but of course you got venues that aren't open, and,
right,
and a lot of those people pay rent on their places, and they don't own them. And this is so unprecedented. Like I was saying before, I thought I'd seen everything. I didn't think in this, quarter of my life I'd be going through this, but this is as big of a crisis as I've ever seen, because we don't know who the enemy is. We can't see it. It could be the person next to you,
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my wife works at a hospital. My daughter is a flight attendant. She's still flying. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but so the dread and the worry is like constant, and you're left at home to wait it out and try not to think about it. But at that point, I've been playing more music now than I have for the last 2 years. Just that's what I live. That's what I do, because I watch too much TV. I'm just going into albums and finding stuff new, exploring new stuff online, listening to stuff I hadn't listened to in a while. But music has been real medicinal for me.
I mentioned I was going to ask you what I figured you had that music would play a part in your release and releases. I found that one thing I do, which is something I kind of have always done a little bit, but probably taken to a different level when my work day concludes, and this will tie into something we'll do in our second segment, I just get out and take a drive. And fortunately, one of the only good byproducts of it is gas prices are way down. Because if you drive around for an hour, it's a lot of gas. but I find it very, you really want to find something to do. You can indeed go stir crazy. Some people are better at it than others, and for some people, I bet it's amazingly frustrating.
Yeah, I think what I've learned and what I've read and learned is that a lot of the musicians and visual artists are saying, well, you know what? Haven't we all wished there was a time where we could do nothing but create new stuff? Well,
right.
But there's never been a better time. So, and we have emotionally an impetus to create. This has put us in a place where if this doesn't arouse something in you that you need to express either visually or verbally or musically, then there won't be a better time for this. So, and I've heard this said and read this written a few times, but it's like there's going to be this artistic explosion in about, there'll be probably a birth explosion in 9 months, but
right.
also
yes.
an artistic explosion, just people really digging deep and being forced to be alone or isolated by themselves. It was just a couple people, and it should inspire a lot of really, really spectacular art.
When you hear about it, and one of the things you wrote about that was really unique, that this venue, sort of way that one musician came up with to create revenue for himself was to make songs for presents for people, like surprise presents, and they give him an idea, maybe some photographs, some background. He interviews them. He comes up with a song as a gift. That's a really cool thing.
Right. So he would talk to a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or boyfriend, and they wanted a song for their partner. Right. And he's also written songs for funerals and weddings. And he's not the only one. But yeah, it has inspired people to be really savvy about their craft, and that's another thing. He probably started a business he wasn't ready to start, but it's keeping him. Well, it's putting some money back in his account, because Sky Smead is the guy you're talking about, and he's just one of those guys who would tour. He would do a bunch of shows a week, little bars, little hole-in-the-walls, bigger bars, But so $100 here, $200 here, $500 here adds up. He was making a living, and all that's gone. He had to find another way to do it. And I think he'd already started this on a smaller scale, but now he's really pressed forward. So, yeah, it's going to inspire a lot of ingenuity, I think. A lot of people are doing shows online. Some of those are worth watching. Some of those, depending on the means you have to listen to them, like, it doesn't always sound great through a phone.
Right.
But if you could somehow get it through your sound system, it's better. But I listen to those. And there are some people doing it regularly. Samantha Fish started doing one every Friday at noon, our time, Central Time, called the Fish Friday. And she does it for an hour. She got a ton of listeners last week. A guy named Mark Lowry, who I think I mentioned. And the story is, he's been doing jazz stuff solo and in trios for at least a decade longer, but he's doing it from his apartment or his house, playing the keyboards and just taking requests and taking tips. And so if you get on Facebook, you can find people just look up your local band and see if they're doing anything, or just Google it, because there's just been an inundation of these shows being streamed from wherever, people's basements, people's bedrooms, and some of them are really worth it.
And while just before all this occurred, we lost, at least for the time being, one of the great iconic small venues in Kansas City, Davy's Uptown, that in a fire. And of course, this preceded what was going on. And that was, the articles about it and the quotes from people were just, beloved location.
So Davy's was everyone's favorite dive bar, and it was a place I was going to before I started writing about music for the Star. And if you ever been to the old Grand Emporium, or the Grand Emporium on Main Street, which is one of the most iconic music places in this town, they closed in like 2003 or 4, but that place had a ton of like blues lessons. I think John Lee Hooker played there. It was like crazy.
I saw Dick Dale there once.
I was there for that show. Absolutely, yes. Would not miss it. Yeah, Charles Brown. Like, it was just crazy good. Roger Neighbor booked that place. He eventually closed it. Knucklehead sort of took over there, the bands they were booking, so that was a nice transition. But Davy's was just kind of place that let any local band perform, and you might be the 4th band on a 4-band bill, and you would play at 1:40 or 12:45 in the morning. But a lot of bands figured out how to play live. So the outpouring, there was a fire. It started on Saturday morning, and it started in the cooler. It's been, at least that's what the official diagnosis was an accident, some electrical thing, and it just gutted the inside. And the plan is to rebuild in the same building. It will not be the same, for better and for worse. Davy's didn't change much in the 20 years I was going there, like, at all. So, but it was a place you walked into. Like, the last time I went there was in October of 2018 with my wife, Michelle. We went to see one of our favorite songwriters, a guy named Freddie Johnson, who spent a lot of time in Lawrence, looked up his music, really good stuff. But I hadn't been there probably 2 years, maybe 3, and walking into that place was like going back to college or something. It was a place that never changed. And so it meant a lot to so many people, customers, but also especially musicians and the outpouring was from a lot of them who said the first place I ever played a really big show was here. I just walked in, asked Michelle Markowitz, the owner of the band, what to do a show. She said, okay, next Tuesday at 11. Well, if you think you're ready, get up there. We're going to slide. And I fell out and learned how to play live. So it was really beloved. For this to happen at this point it just made what was already devastating at dark just darker and more devastating, because this place won't come back really for a couple of years. So yeah, it just added to the sense of sorrow in the music community here.
Our guest, obviously, Tim Finn. Our regular segment every other Wednesday is Danny and Tim's music scene. It's in a different form, as many things you hear on the radio and see on television are in a different form as well. But we're still having a great discussion about music in a tough time, and we'll continue to do so right after this on Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way, and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice, regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
We're visiting with Larry Marshall, former Chiefs defensive back and punt returner, and now a Chiefs ambassador. Larry is a former pro football player with the aches and pains that come with that, and moving on in age as we all are. What do the Canaway CBD products do for you?
It's been a great relief for me. Being a punt and kickoff returner, collisions were a mainstay of my career, and these Canaway products, the salve especially, has really helped me try to get through every day with the aches and pains that I've had over a career of 7+ years in the NFL.
I get similar benefits as well, particularly with my back. Certainly wasn't a football player. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information about the great products themselves?
Well, I'm so enthused about it, Dana. They just contacted me at larrymarshall.canaway.com, and I can give them all the information they need to help them get through the day as well.
Start gaining all the benefits that Larry and I do from the trusted and reliable line of Canaway products. As Larry said, visit larrymarshall.canaway.com and get information on all the great products from Canaway.
Hey guys, it's Brian Haney, voice of the Jayhawks, and Matt Llewellyn from the 23rd Street Brewery. Matt, I've got a bunch of buddies coming over to watch the big game, and I need some ideas on what to cook.
Hey, let me handle it, Brian.
You're going to come over and cook for us?
For you? Maybe. But you should just let 23rd Street Brewery cater it. We could bring a big pan of Bill Self mac and cheese, wings, veggies, naked nachos, and anything else you might want.
Great. Well, you want to stick around and watch the game?
No, I've got to get back to the brewery and watch it on the big screen.
The place to get great catering and watch all the games, the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Back with Tim Finn. You can hear him on 90.9 The Bridge on Thursdays at 4 with John Hart, and you can read his stuff at In Kansas City Magazine, that great article about the effects on the music scene. Also has another one up right now at In Kansas City, and that's available online and a hard product as well. Cross Your Fingers summer concert preview. I mentioned in the introduction, Tim, that I have tickets for the Mavericks on May 9th, and that one seems a little dubious right now to me. But you seem to start with June 1st for yours. just to get a sense, nobody really knows, everybody's just guessing. We all try to be optimistic. What's your sense right now about June 1st? If you had tickets to an event, a show on June 1st, what would you be thinking?
I think that would be the most optimistic estimate of when we would be back on the rails. So, I don't know. I'm trying to find that list. Yeah, probable summer concert. Fingers crossed. I know. And because that will be what,
just
maybe
over 2 months. Yeah, 9 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's possible, but probably not highly likely. I would say July 1st is probably a better, or mid-June, July 1st. I'm hoping that I get to see Elton John on July 8th. That's my goal.
You're feeling okay about that one, huh?
I'm not feeling okay about anything. I'm just trying not to be over-optimistic.
Yeah, I guess at this point in time, I sort of take the other tack of being optimistic.
That would be 3.5 months. So
yeah,
I think it's within the realm of possibility for sure.
I've found myself trying to be on the optimistic side while knowing that I'm probably full of crap. That's kind of the way I think. I know you love Starlight so much. June 25th, Bare Naked Ladies, Jim Blossom's Toad the Wet Sprocket is a neat show. That one seems plausible as well. There's a lot of interesting shows that that are right on that cusp area, middle to late June, that you just hope.
Well, I mean, even before that, like Brittany Howard, who's with Alabama Shakes, I would love to see her. An amazing soul singer.
No doubt.
She put out a solo record this year, so I was looking forward to that. Frankly, if the Motley Crue Poison Def Leppard show didn't happen at Kauffman Stadium, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. But it's the smaller shows. The Nico Cage show is one that I like. I would like to see Cheryl Crow again. I haven't seen her in forever, and I respect her. Cheryl Crow was at Mizzou at the same time I was, and I saw her. The band she was in called, what were they called? It was I can't remember. Anyway, they, yes, so as she was a student, she was an education student. She got her teaching certificate or something. But so, remembering that I've seen her, and then years later she comes out and she's this kind of superstar solo singer-songwriter. And she's good live. So, she's supposed to be at Crossroads on the 28th of June. Some already at Starlight on the 3rd. So there's a lot out there that's probably in a little bit of peril. But we just don't know. I mean, every day I watch the news and I feel more pessimistic about how long this is going to last just because of what I see and hear. So I don't know. We're just kind of spitballing here. I hope we get through this. Everyone does the work we need to do to get through this as fast as we can, because I don't remember what normal was. I mean, it's getting hard to remember how things used to be.
And hopefully that, we will embrace things even more. And I think that usually only lasts a little while where you really treasure things, but maybe it'll, make people feel good about things a little bit more. It probably will have a lot to do with how long it really is. They're talking. I saw somebody talking the other day about, or a man wrote an article, I think, for The Athletic, and he was saying that his idea of a natural start to the baseball season was the All-Star game, and that does seem realistic, although troublesome, because that's middle of July. But
right.
Things like that. By the way, I'm so glad you keep your sense of humor in all this. Tim's one line about the July 3rd at Starlight Theater John Fogerty show is he's got more hits than the entire cast of The Sopranos. Very good, sir.
He does. Which I've been binging on lately, so that's why it was on my mind. So,
There you go. Very good. I mentioned earlier that I do like to take drives as a bit of a release, and sometimes I put music on, sometimes I put nothing on, sometimes on the radio. And sometimes I'll listen to satellite radio. And yesterday I was listening to, ironically enough, a golf show I often listen to. And it's called Catrick and McGinnis on Tap, and it's a very entertaining show. They're good guys. And I think it's McGinnis who, I think they both actually are friends through golf with Mike Mills from R.E.M.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I would, if anybody can, I'm sure you can. It's nothing's hard to find these days. But one of the favorite shows I watched, and I don't know why I didn't keep it in my DVR rack forever, is the Unplugged for MTV that R.E.M. did. Really fabulous. And actually, one of the highlights of it was Mike Mills singing Love Is All Around, a solo version. Really cool. But I wanted to start with Mike Mills has to be the most, and he was super engaging on this interview. He sounds like the nicest guy in the world. But one thing that my wife was struck with, we watched that piece probably 3 times within the span of a month, is that Mike Mills might be the most self-confident nerd I have ever seen in my life. I mean, he looks like he's just he thinks he's the baddest man on the planet. And you look at him, he's kind of a little guy with glasses. And, and R.E.M., a really cool band. And, very, we talk about how things aren't very unique, but they were. What are your general thoughts about R.E.M. and maybe that particular broadcast?
Well, so I was asked to put together this list of like top 10 bands or albums that like changed your life, like where you heard it and went, "What the hell? I've not heard anything like this." And one of my first was the Pretenders' first record, and there's the Talking Heads. But I was living in Lawrence. I just started grad school there in 1984, and I heard the song "Radio for Europe" at a bar called the Sanctuary, and that song just completely blindsided me. Like, it was everything, the confluence of whatever it was I'd been in love with at that point. And because it was jangly, it was sort of punky, it was post-punk, and the lyrics were weird. So I asked the DJ at the time, like, what is this? He said it's a song by this band called R.E.M. The album's called Murmur. The next day I went to a record store. They were out, went to another one, they were out. But the same record store had R.E.M.'s first EP called Chronic Town, so I bought it, and I listened to that nonstop for like 2 days, and then I went out and bought Murmur, and then I got their next record, and so that band, it was just, my life was flush with their music for about 4 years, so they're one of my favorite bands ever, just because they were all nerds, like they were all, there was nothing flashy about them. They were all kind of introverted. I mean, Michael Stipe was the consummate introverts. Mike Mills was a nerdy bass player, but he also had a really good voice. He sang a lot of the harmonies. He sang lead on a couple songs, and I've met him a couple times. He is a super nice guy. All those guys are. Like, they never let their stature affect who they were. So I hung out with them once or twice when they played in Kansas City, just because of some people I knew. But they've always been really impressive, and their first 5 or 6 records are some of my favorites because they infuse a lot of the same influences that I had, and they were so melodic, but they were so edgy, and just some of their records are some of my favorite records of all time. And I knew that they play golf because I was at strangely enough, I went to this VH1. The network had this fundraiser in Vegas called Fairway to Heaven, which was a golf fundraiser. But it raised money for music and education at school. It was, a lot of strange company there. Vince Neil was there. Vince Gill was there. But the guy was with him. We talked with a couple guys from Bon Jovi, and Mills was there. But yeah, he's a decent golfer. It would just seem funny that golf was nothing I would have associated him with. But yeah.
I think that, famously, Alice Cooper used golf to get, away from alcohol and drugs. And I think a lot of times people are in a position where, hey, am I going to just stay up all night every night, or am I going to figure out some way to maybe live a healthier life? And I think golf probably helps them to do that. But one thing that struck me just then was it's so great that you get to hang out with R.E.M. a couple of times and that it was good. Can you imagine how crushing it would have been if they were jerks? I mean,
Well, and that's happened before. I'm not going to, usually over the phone, but that's kind of deflating. But more than not, it's been like, Alice Cooper was amazing to talk to, and he actually was at that tournament. I'm pretty sure he won it because he's kind of a scratch golfer. Like, he could probably, join the senior tour and do all right, but because that's all he does. He lives in Arizona, Phoenix,
I mean, he played when he started doing it. When he stopped drinking, I think he was famously drinking like a case and a half of beer a day or something like that.
Right.
But he plays all the time. So when you do that, you definitely get a lot better.
That's the key, isn't it? You can't play twice a year like I used to do. I'm not getting better.
No, that was when I worked with it. But the only good thing about working morning drive for a few years when I lived in upstate New York was I played golf every single day because I was done with work at 11 o'clock. So that's definitely how you get better, and that's how musicians get better. And I guess to bring this full circle, now they're in many ways forced to be by themselves, create good music. And I guess what you said earlier is what we can hang our hats on for right now, that we may well see a really great influx of music coming out of this period.
I think so. And I'm going to hang my hat on that and spend my isolation listening to trying to find new music I like, which you can do. Just Google new music. Go on Spotify, find new stuff. Google the best albums of 220 so far, and I found some stuff that I like. Also, I'm going back into my catalogs and listening to stuff I hadn't listened to in years, and music really is, for me anyways, comfort and medicine, and it's helping me get through this.
Perfectly said, Tim. Always appreciate it, and I look forward to the next time we can do this face-to-face.
Sure. Me too, Danny. Thanks.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.